Take it away.
Thank you. So here I'm logged into Sitecore, and once I'm logged into Sitecore, I have my different applications. We have installed Optimus on the top of Sitecore. So basically everything you have to do in order to get access to the module is to install it, and then they have data running in XDB. So if you have set up goals with the value, it should just be a quick install, and then you can start getting the insights straight away. So when I click on Optimus, then I have my detailed report here. So it's one screen, and if you compare that to working with, there's a little bit of delay, sorry about that. If you compare that in working with other analytics tools, Experience Analytics and Sitecore Google Analytics, you typically have many reports. So you jump between different reports to collect insights out of those different reports, and then you take pieces of insights and gather that in an insight report for the organization. What we want to achieve here is we give you one report, you go in, and basically everything you want to understand should be on the screen here. So what we're looking at here is essentially a grid where we have 4 different ways to group pages. Could also be assets, which is PDF, ebooks, white papers, etc. Or it could be campaigns. Now when we have 4 different buckets, we have visits on the y-axis and value per visit on the x-axis. So that means that the content we have in the top left corner, that is, in this case, pages that drives a lot of visits, but they don't drive that much value. So basically, you have a lot of traffic here, but you don't get conversions out of that traffic. Then you have the top right corner, which is empty in this case. This is where you want to be, because this is where you have high visits and high value, high efficiency. So this is where you want to move your pages. Then at the right bottom, we have pages that are low visited, but have very high value. So these are the converters. And of course, we want to attract more traffic here, because if we can move them up, we can move them up to the heroes. And then we have the bottom left corner. This is where we have low value, low visits. Could be pages you have just launched, or pages you launched a year ago. They were really good in the beginning, but now they're not getting any attention anymore. So just looking at this, you get a quick overview about what is performance, in this case, on different pages. So to explain a little bit more about the grid and how to navigate the grid, Todd?
Yeah. So I can imagine that your sites are going to have a significant amount of traffic, significant amount of pages to view. So the grid is actually built in D3, which means you can easily pan around and explore the type of views you're getting on your pages. You can easily zoom in to different clusters of pages and get a really keen look at exactly how the pages are performing. As Lars talked about, this grid on the upper left are pages with a high traffic, but low value per visit. So they're clustered based on those metrics Lars talked about, and you can mouse over these and get information about the pages to decide if you want to dig in further and look at the details. You can see this specific page, things to do. It is personalized, and it's got a few recommendations. If I zoom out here, of course you can zoom quite far out if you'd like. If you've got a lot of traffic, or zoom way in if you need to. But you can also filter the pages by a specific date range. So say you want to look back maybe 14 days or 30 days at your page performance. You can also filter by the sites that are configured within Sitecore, if you like, to get a more detailed view, or you can actually categorize the pages by their page type. In this case, I'll choose packages, maybe resort and rooms, and now I can just look at those specific pages. So the grid allows you to easily see everything happening by category or by date if you'd like. So Lars, do you want to take us to the detail of one of the pages that's having a bit of trouble?
Definitely. So if I have to optimize here, what I will be really looking for is look at those pages that have high visits but low value. this is where you want to run a test. This is where you want to start up personalization. So I want to start here at the top left corner and basically see what are all my different traffic sources. How can I optimize getting much more value out of them? Then once I've done that, I would naturally move down to the pages that produce a lot of value. And then I will focus on driving more traffic to those pages by increasing different marketing activities. Could be creating new PPC campaigns that drives traffic to them. Could also be to navigate some of the traffic I have on my high impact pages to these pages, because they're very, very effective on converting visitors to the different key goals we have on our site that essentially brings value to us as an organization. So to start with, let me look at my top left corner here. We can see I have a couple of pages that have very high value, very high visit. So if I hover over these pages, I can basically just get a quick look. What are the pages here? And now you can see Todd have turned on all the different types here. If I want to exclude something, I can do that. So I'm more focused on my effort here. But in this case, I have the bucket list. We can see the bucket list have high visits. It have 803,000 visits, but there's still quite a gap to the average, which is the dotted line here. So my task here is to move this, so we maintain the same amount of visit, but we get much more value out of it, and we get it on par with the average value per visit here. So let me jump into this one here. So basically, I click here. I go into my details for this page, where we have gathered different information for you as you want to optimize here. So first of all, what I have here is my key insights. So I can see that I have a lot of visits. It also producing value, but it's low on the efficiency, the value per visit, which is what we use at the grid here. I can see a bounce rate. I can see that there's 3 personalized spots already running on this page. It could be that our personalization is actually not working, because typical personalization should produce more value. What we also want to do with the Optimus is to help you with some recommendations. So instead of taking all these different metrics and then assuming we should do this, then we have put in recommendations here. So based on where it is in the grid, we basically come with recommendations, these two here. Consider adding different paths from the page to high value content with the call to action written in the context of the page content. So basically we put in more call to action that leads the traffic to those pages that have a high value, high efficiency. And then also consider optimizing the page further. Current personalization is not working optimally. So here we have 2 recommendations we can begin to act on. We also show what we call the value index and the visitor index. So here we have looked at the traffic and the value that has been generated by this page. And then what it means is that the 98% means that this is really high in terms of producing value, and the visit is also really high. And this is compared to all the others, but the value per visit is low. We're still producing a lot of value compared to a lot of other pages, but it's not efficient for each visitor to actually produce value. So this is the first report we have when we click in and begin to understand a little bit more about the page. We can also look at the history.
Yeah, so the history tab shows you basically the historical behavior or value of the specific page. The green line there you see represents the value per visit over time. I'm sorry, the green line represents the number of visits over time, and the blue line represents the value per visit over time. And this is very similar to what you see in Experience Analytics, except for this is for a very specific page in context of all the key insights that Lars just mentioned. And this information is great, but actually one of the problems that we know we have is the ability to figure out, okay, good, my visits or value per visit is going down, but why? What changed on the page? So Optimus also offers a premium version, which I'll just switch over to here. And you can look across the right side here that we've got some other tabs unlocked. Historical Insights, which I'll show you in just a moment, that gives you the insights I was just talking about of what actually changed on the page. But you also have another tab that shows you the audience. So what sort of people, what personas or what profiles are looking at this page or using this page. Of course, you also have the SEO tab, and then we also have a tab here called Performance, which allows you to correlate critical events to the page's response time. So let's look in this Historical Insights tab here. And what you see is the same visual of the value per visit over time compared to the number of visits to a page over time. But we also have these lollipops, and each lollipop shows you a change in the page when it was published. So if you look here, we actually have a rise in value per visit happen, and then a change to the page was made. And here we show you version 2 was published 25 days ago and by whom, but we also show you that new personalization was added to that page, thrill seekers. And then we show you all of the personalization. Now this is a beta, so we're actually going to add a lot more information to this tab that shows you a lot more details about what changed on the page, such as which new goals are being triggered, which new events are being triggered, and even what content changes occurred on the page. Now, if you look along the date here, you can see that visits began to drop, so another change was made to the page. And if you look after this lollipop, you can see that value began to rise again. So what changed that helped us there? Well, as Lars mentioned earlier, that this page is getting a lot of traffic, but not generating much value, which means your personalization is probably not working correctly. So if we look and see that we had a rise in traffic here, if I mouse over this lollipop, we can see that, oh, a new piece of personalization was added. Gap year. So a lot of students getting out of college take a gap year where they want to experience life differently than going to school. So in this case, we added a piece of personalization that focused specifically on that profile. And you can see that the number of visits began to rise, as did value. Now, this is a premium feature, but it will be offered as part of Optimus as well. So Alex, do you want to take us through the next tab here?
Sure. My favorite tab with paths. So as Todd and Lars mentioned, that we use Experience Analytics API heavily, and another set of APIs that we use in is Path Analyzer APIs that give access to all paths where this particular page is a part of. So paths leading into and leading out of that page. So this should be familiar if you work with Path Analyzer, classic Sitecore Path Analyzer. This is a more streamlined view of all that rich data that that tool has at its disposal, at the fingertips of the content owner. So you can see how many landings happen on that page, exits, how many paths we had with no value, which is something you probably want to take care of, and a little bit more of on the innovative side is the engagement value leakage. So this is total number of engagement value points which you could gain if you optimize this page. So by knowing all the successful paths that leading through this page, we can calculate how much of that engagement value you have in the optimization bucket, so to speak. It's also nice to understand what happens before this page is hit, how people actually are arriving to it, and what happens after this page visit. So very much simplified, conventional visualization, and we're looking forward to add more of ad hoc visualizations for this piece moving forward. So at this point, let's dive into a little bit more talk about technology behind this, and to demonstrate it, let's just look into a clean Sitecore 8.2.7 that is hooked up to existing Experience Analytics and XDB instance. So there's nothing installed here, but we have access to data. So let's take a look at the process of installing the module. So I already have package uploaded into that instance. So that means I can just go ahead and select it and hit install. The package itself is just a few static files, so there's no binaries, there's no configs. That effectively means that there is no server-side piece, so there is no need to restart the Sitecore authoring server. So it comes in as a set of items and static files. So it's very much non-disruptive installation process and very quick. And you can see we have icon on our homepage, and we can go ahead and launch the app. It's hooked up to Experience Analytics and Path Analyzer's APIs behind the scenes, so it's just harvesting the data that the system already has. So imagine you have your current instance right now where you invested in a full cycle experience platform, you have data collected, you can just install the module in a few seconds and have your data on this canvas with almost no effort. So the mechanics behind it, the app itself is 100% React application that's leveraging a lot of D3.js for visualization naturally. And the app code itself is hosted on our CDNs. So we use Netlify for global app distribution. So effectively, the app itself is not something you install the shell, and the app itself is just it's like using a website, really, right? You pull the JavaScript bundle from CDN, so it's efficient. And what that means also is that it gives us an opportunity to push new updates, new features, without requiring you to do anything. And to demonstrate that, I'm gonna switch into settings here and switch from stable into Canary build. Before I do that, let me just show you the current state of popover. You can see it's fairly basic, has just visits and value per visit metric, and we don't have our page category filter yet. So if I go and switch from stable to Canary, apply changes, this will mean that the app itself will use different link to different application build in CDN, and you can see we have now our new filters, and our popover looks very different now. So effectively, that gives us opportunity to move much faster and be much more agile with this module. So, and also helps you getting started without kind of thinking through the deployment process, how you want to make sure the installation is not disrupting your current content authoring activities, things like that. And it also lowers the bar for experimentation. So if you just want to install it and give it a shot, it's easy. We're also thinking about providing an anti-package, so you can uninstall it in a clean way if you don't like it. We hope we like it, but we want to give you an option to opt out quite easily. So that's kind of the architecture. I mentioned the way we go about deploying this app. This is most of what we've shown. It's a free basic version. The premium version would require some server-side bits because we want to harvest more data that is stored in Sitecore and do more fun stuff even. So that will be a little bit different installation process, but we're still kind of shaping that up. So hopefully that provides good overview of how we going about building this module and what to expect from it. You guys have any other comments before we open up into questions? And
No, well stated.
Just to conclude that if you have data, you have a value, you have visits up and running, install it, and now you have good insights for those that actually are creating content, the content authors, as well as the marketers. They can go in, they can start to find out what should we prioritize, where do we need to optimize, where do we need to drive our marketing activities towards, so we can get traffic to those pages that are highly valuable and move them up. That's really what we want to accomplish here. Get something that is easy to work with without having to wait for an analyst for different days to combine all the data and come back with the insights. You should be able to click a button, go in, find out what's on your plate today, and then start doing that. So
In terms of what to expect next, what next steps we would recommend is to sign up for a private early beta program, if we can call it program. It's just a newsletter. Head out to our labs page where you will see the link on Optimus detail page. So would love to get you on board there. In terms of version dependency.
Yep. Yeah, so we're targeting 8.2 and onwards, and then we'll move into version 9. We're definitely open to doing version 8.1 if there's enough of us that would like to use that version. This is completely compatible with that. So let us know.
No Cycle 6?
I don't think we're going to get the same data set. Last I checked, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. So we are exploring, of course, 8.2.9, but also exploring opening up for additional data set. So for instance, if you're using Google Analytics, and in Google Analytics you are using monetary value on the different goals, then essentially we have the same. We have visits, we have a value, and now we can take data from Google Analytics and combine it into a similar grid like this. Head out to our homepage, altola.co. We offer expert advisory bootcamps as well as POCs, and then of course we have these different modules we are working on. But if you have any questions, any need for any expert advisory, definitely feel free to reach out.